welcome everybody on this very rainy, nasty evening. Rain. But we're here, so. We have consideration of a consent agenda items. The board, you've all seen that in your packet. Are there any questions, comments?
I move that we approve the agenda items as presented.
Okay.
Second.
Rick, you seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Motion's carried. And Mr. Sloat, you have a staff report for us.
On our staff report, we have 3 new employees that, I think you were notified that they had to start when school started, this was before our meeting, so when we need official approval, we have Amy Barrow, 50% special education at Corner Park, and that's a new position. Kelly Newman, physical education at South Grove, and that was to replace Greg Schaefer. And then to middle school, Andrew Richard, 50% physical education, that was a new position. So we'd ask for your official approval on those. And I believe Dr. Sager sent to you the details and other application information in the manual. And another comment along with that, there's attached the complete staff roster for certified and classified. So we're all filled at this point for the year.
I move that we approve the personnel as presented to us today.
Second.
Got seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you, Mr. Sloat. Appreciate your work on that. Okay, for new business, we continue with you.
Okay, we've advertised that we'd have a public hearing on our budgets, capital projects, fund plan, and school bus replacement plan. And just to remind a little bit the way this works, we advertised twice in the paper that we're going to have the hearing tonight, and then the final adoption would be at our next board meeting on September 17th. So we've advertised the budgets as we had discussed in the work session. Now with a couple exceptions, keeping it, if you do the calculation and the math, the tax rate would be high, but that's only to protect ourselves for some unknown quantities when we do this advertisement. The CPF plan is a 3-year spending plan, and we're primarily concerned, of course, with 2008, but we advertised for 2009 and 10. And that was also advertised with the CPF at $2,300,000 for 2008 and 2009. It's up to $2,425,000, $2,485,000 for 9 and 10. So we have to have a hearing on that plan. And then the bus replacement plan is a 10-year plan. And again, we advertised that amount. As you recall, the part of that advertisement covers our pension bond. So we advertised that levy amount is included in the bus replacement plan. So first thing we need to do is open it up for the public if there's any comments on the budgets, the CPF plan, and the bus replacement plan.
I have a quick question. With the 2-week delay that the city has given people to pay taxes, does that affect us?
It affects our cash flow. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, typically you have your collection, normally when your taxes are due May 10th, we have total collection by June, and that was delayed, and then it's due November 10th, and then you have your final settlement. So it delays our cash flow, and I had to allow for that because we did advertise. If you recall, a couple meetings ago, we borrowed some additional funds because we knew our cash flow would be short.
Right.
Just not collected it all in a timely manner.
I believe it with the assessments and all this information came out before we had that discussion, so we may be even looking at some stronger issues later down the road because of the people that are going to be filing for.
Well, I think the other part we need to look at, and we thought about this when you actually advertise this budget, if they told everybody to pay what you owe for 2006, our budget's built on 2007 collection, so there could be a shortfall when we get to December of what we totally collect if everybody pays their 2006 billings.
Thank you.
And that also reflects on that, Rick, is people that appeal.
Right.
If you appeal, you don't pay until that appeal's resolved.
I I would say there's going to be an abnormally high number of appeals this time around.
There was last time too.
Yeah.
Which hurt us this past year, current year. And yeah, we think that the same thing's going to happen, compound that. Now, we're mixing conversations about the 2008 budget, which we're talking
Right,
about
right,
tonight,
right,
and the
right,
2007 budget, which is delayed on
Right.
tax payment and collections. When we do talk to you about the budgets, we do talk about that temporary loan for cash flow purposes. And that's what we've had to do twice now.
Right,
We may
twice.
even have to do again
Yeah.
because of what the governor did.
And actually, talk about the temporary loan, when they did, the second time around, my calculated cash flow, I really took the worst case scenario, as if we wouldn't collect anything until December. Now, we know that's not true, but if we don't collect all of it, then that's another, then you got a shortfall. And then there's a process, you can go through and appeal that and try to collect that next year. I mean, actually, I advertised that in the budget in case we ever had to do it, so we would be covered. I mean, it's not a good thing, but you gotta look at how you can protect yourself.
Does anybody in the audience have any questions about anything? Okay. Thank you. Mr. Sloat?
Okay, so then at the next meeting, we would ask for adoption of the budgets and the CPF plan and the bus replacement plan. Can we go ahead to the next
Yes,
item?
please.
We also had advertised an additional appropriation for the rainy day fund. We discussed with you before, where we transferred cash out of the debt service fund to the rainy day fund to pay some, unexpected expense or to help out with the general fund. So when that money's transferred over there, we need to do an additional appropriation to get authority to spend it. So that was advertised on August 8th, that we were going to have a hearing on that tonight. So that's the first step. We have to allow for any patron that may have a comment on that that appropriation.
Does anybody have a question on that rainy
I do
day
have a
fund?
question. Where was it advertised?
Would have been in the Indianapolis Star and the Court Commercial paper.
Any other questions or comments?
I would move that we adopt the resolution on the additional appropriation.
Second.
Thank you. Jim, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion's carried. Dr. Sager?
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks, Ross. At our last school board meeting, the subject of the out-of-state field trips was brought up, and I asked you to give that some thought so we could discuss a possible procedure change. I'm not sure it would be a policy change exactly. A procedure change on how we approve or deny field trip requests coming from our buildings when a field trip might be out of state farther than a contiguous state. We have allowed trips to Chicago and Cincinnati, but we have not allowed trips to go beyond one state farther away than we touch Indiana. And that was a result of the 9/11 tragedy and our concern for, having students travel to major metropolitan areas. And we do have a pending request for a high school trip to Florida, which is on hold. And this conversation is not just about that, it's about the whole concept of whether or not we want to loosen it up or not. And that's totally up to the board, but we just need some direction from you on how you would like us to handle that this year and in the immediate future, I guess.
Does anybody have any feelings on that? one way or
Well,
the other?
I think that the initial, after 9/11, with very few exceptions, I think all school boards tightened the reins, just for the simple fact that we were really worried about what could happen if you have 3 bus loads of kids, as an example, going to Washington DC, and they decide to fly a plane into a building again. That's still in the back of all our minds, I think, no matter what we do. But I think that's part of, as you'd say, the terrorist mentality, is that I don't want your kids to be able to do this. That just puts the fear in everybody. I think that to put the hold on it, we don't exchange with Canada anymore, so we're not concerned anymore with sending 200 people over the border to Canada. But I think that we should still look seriously at any field trips, that whether they're going to Kings Island or going to Chicago, but by the same token, I don't want to shortchange our kids of having the experience of, especially going, if they went to a place like Washington DC to get to see that. That's just, I wish every kid in all our schools could go see that, but I think we just have to be prudent and trust our people that they're doing what they think is right.
I think with appropriate chaperoning, which I'm sure we'll have, and with the necessary checks and balances that we'll have with the parents making, I don't see a problem with it. The parents don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with it.
It would always be with parent permission,
Sure.
that's for sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I would be of the opinion that we still, each one take on a case by case. Just to say that, they applied for an out-of-state field trip and it'll be approved, not thinking that, but on a case by case.
Let me ask for clarification on that comment. Do you mean on a case-by-case basis, the board would approve it, or on a case-by-case basis, the principal and superintendent would approve
I
it?
would say principal. If it does come to the board, I would think that the board, that the principal and superintendent had already given the
Yeah,
okay
it
for it
wouldn't
to
come to
come
you before
forward.
we would have.
So you
Okay.
already take it on a case by case? Okay, then I'm comfortable with that.
I think it was appropriate after 9/11 because we didn't know what the situation was, but now I think we've got to loosen those reins a little bit. I think it's appropriate that our kids get the opportunities they can.
I agree. I would just like to see the ratio of kids to chaperones, just to make sure that one chaperone doesn't have 15 students to take care of it. That's a lot. I'd just like to know the ratio when that comes
Is
to
that in our
us
guidelines,
typically.
Russ?
Yeah, and I don't recall the number, but I remember
In that book by
just
case?
reading that somewhere.
I believe it's in it. I think it is. I think it's in
Feel like some
Keep
are
talking,
field trips. I mean,
Because I've
there's
chaperoned a few, but I don't remember how many. One time it's so many and one time
I think
it's
at every
another.
level, it's a different number.
Which one's it in, Robin?
It would be under the administrative
The big one?
guidelines that would support the field trip policy, but I can't recall.
Administrative
And
guidelines?
is it property age?
I would assume it'd have to be.
The activity. Well, I can't believe you don't tell me. I didn't hear.
Tammy, do you?
I'm all for it.
Yes, I absolutely agree.
Yeah, I'm fine.
I don't
with
want to
that.
see anybody miss out on
No, I
an
don't
opportunity either.
If we're going to allow on a case-by-case basis a field trip that's farther away than one particular state, does the board still want each of those to come to you prior to approval being given? Or do you want to change that procedure as well? The reason I'm asking that is it is a little bit difficult to administer when we have to ask for those requests to be on our desks before the next board meeting, which sometimes is, a month. And there are a lot of last minute stuff there, but I'm okay with that. It's just that sometimes we're gonna have to say no. I'm fine with that, but I just think this is the right time or an appropriate time to ask if you still want board approval prior to any of those kind of trips being taken.
I don't feel that way personally because I think most of the time when there's a group that is going to be going somewhere, they have already those they connected the dots between, say, the band director and the students and those parents. The principal is in the loop, you may be in the loop, so I don't think that it has to come through us to approve it because there are already those teachers, adults, parents who have more of a heads up, than we do, and I hate to put a damper on something, slow it down, and might not get to go because it might be a whole month before we get the information.
I'm fine with you. Building principal and you approving that.
Then perhaps we could change our procedures to, on a case-by-case basis, the principal and the superintendent would make the decision, and then we would inform you if there's any trips like that.
If I could add something to that, I'm fine with not being asked before, but if it is denied, if we can know why it was denied. That way, we would still know after, at our next meeting.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
point, in case somebody calls.
Yeah.
Right.
Great.
Well, I appreciate that. That helps us too, getting these things processed. Which means there'll be a revision to what we just gave you tonight on the procedures for field trip. But you'll get that within a month.
Do you need that back, Robin?
All right, thank you.
I have a question. Are there any stipulations as far as missing a instructional day at school? Say they were going to take off like Thursday and a Friday, and on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, they come back.
Well, I think that's why we say it's on a case-by-case basis. We're pretty strict about not missing school days for trips that aren't academic related.
Expectations.
Reports, do we have any reports this evening? Okay.
I don't used to.
No, I don't
No.
think
I didn't have any listed, but I want to make sure I didn't miss
Don't
that.
hold me to this, but it seemed like the number used to be like 8 or 10.
in the
It would
guidelines.
be,
Yeah.
it would be.
8
So
or 10
one
students,
says,
8 or 10 students
One
to a
parent.
chaperone. But don't hold me to that.
It's not in there, is that what you're saying?
I don't see it.
I think we stick it out because with little kids, you need a smaller ratio. With
Bigger kids, you need bigger ratio.
And that ratio didn't fit all schools.
So we have no reports and no communications, unless I'm mistaken right now. Okay. Do we have any public comment this evening?
I have a question.
Okay.
You've mentioned 3 of them already, the transportation fund, the rainy day fund, and the general fund. How many more funds do you have,
You have,
and what are they?
okay, you got the general fund,
Uh-huh.
debt service fund,
Debt service, okay.
transportation,
Uh-huh.
capital projects,
Uh-huh.
bus replacement,
Mhm.
special ed preschool, and pension bond.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments, questions?
Just let me add to that. Those are the funds that are supported by local tax dollars. We have other funds, so I wouldn't want to confuse you in a subsequent conversation. We have a lunch fund that's funded with lunch money, and we have a textbook rental fund that's funded with textbook rental money. I don't know, we have some other miscellaneous funds, but they're not tax funds. So usually when someone asks that question, we kind of focus on tax money.
Right.
But I just didn't want to mislead you in another conversation if you ever asked about textbooks or.
So the ones that you mentioned are supported by the funds from that specific event?
Right.
Okay.
And the ones I mentioned were the funds we advertised,
Okay.
because the
Yeah,
tax.
I picked
tax
up on
supported.
that. That's where I
Right.
got the first 3. I
Right,
thought,
yeah.
okay, how many are there?
Right, right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, for board comments. Mr. Sloat, do you have anything this evening?
I'd like to comment, we recently completed the lighting project in the auxiliary gym at the high school, so if you get a chance, go over there and look at that. You won't believe how bright that is. I mean, actually, now it looks like we need to paint in there probably. You can see the walls, but.
it always brings something up, doesn't it?
Yeah, and so we may do that down lower, but that was a good project. I think that'll appreciate volleyball this time of year and other sports in there will be a lot brighter.
Is it just the design of it like it was at the middle school when they did the hallway lights?
The type of light that was in there, and they come in with a meter and they read it, I'm not sure of the exact term, but they had like a reading of 8 to 10 before, and now it's about 50, so that just gives you
Wow.
a comparison of how much brighter it is.
And I think the other guy's meter was broken when they put those in.
Yeah, I read something,
$65.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that with school starting, the buses, I mean, we had to make some adjustments in routes. Always have that the first week because we may have one bus a little bit crowded or that one bus taking longer to get there on time. So we made a change in some stops and things. So I noticed today the radio traffic with the bus driver is a little bit less than it was last week with, where's this kid and, why didn't he get off and things. So they're doing a good job. I appreciate the drivers.
Rick, do you have any comments?
Welcome to another year at Beech Grove. I think everything started out great. Any moms at home that are looking for a unique part-time job, we're always accepting applications for school bus drivers, I believe. Is that correct still?
Substitute teachers.
And substitute, and cafeteria workers.
Right.
So that's a great thing. If you have a young child that goes to school in the middle of the day, you can make some extra money. Congratulations to our high school varsity football team. They started out 1-0 for the first time, I believe, since, I don't even know. It's been a while. So congratulations to them. It just shows how much hard work that they've done. The middle school program, they started out against two of the tougher opponents on the south side of Indianapolis, Perry Meridian and Decatur, and they held their own. Matter of fact, the 8th grade pretty much punched them in the mouth in a football term. Let me use that as a football term.
Yeah, don't get rumors started.
And as far as Parks Department goes, nothing really having anything to do with the school system, and that's it.
Tim, do you have anything?
Yeah, I went to the middle school community council meeting on August 8th, and it was just an organizational meeting. And upcoming things, tomorrow night is the back to school night at the middle school. And also congratulations to the varsity football team. So, that's all I got.
Can I make a comment here, talk about the football? Dave Coudray come in the gym today, and he said, "Oh, these lights so bright." He said, "It looks like when the TV cameras come around and take pictures and things." And I said, "Yeah, we got this, just so when you win the sectional, you can bring the team in here and we're gonna take team pictures."
All right. That's how we need to be thinking.
Yeah.
Good job. Tammy, do you have anything?
I don't really have anything, other than I hope it's a good school year, and I know my boys are excited about the teachers that they have, and way to go, varsity. Let's see, I know the 7th and 8th grade football team plays at Speedway on Thursday. I do believe it's Thursday. I think the first game starts at 5, and the second game will start around 6, so if you can come out and continue to root them on, they're gonna do a great job, as I hope all the other sports for fall do.
Awesome job too for the kids that went to the West Vigo game. We had 2 fan buses go.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's awesome. That's
You
really
just gotta get those kids to not be afraid to cheer.
I don't know, after today with the price of gasoline, we may not have
That many go. Beth, do you have anything?
Just welcome to the 2007-2008 school year. I think we're all recuperating from we're not used to the heat we've had and the dryness we've had. Kids are excited to be back in school, though. Ready for a good year.
Mr. Wagner, do you have anything?
Yeah, I'd like to update you on 3 projects that we've had. Phase 2 of the middle school is now complete, and that included new cabling, network electronics, power upgrades, mainly in the office area, the applied technology lab, and some of the other related curriculum classrooms. So the middle school is now complete. The fiber project is also complete, so now we have direct contact from Central to the Tech Center, South Grove to the Tech Center, and middle school through the Tech Center. So that was a major upgrade. We will continue to use the wireless equipment as a backup if for some reason something would happen, so we can fall back on that, so that's good. Starting tomorrow, they're going to install the new PA system at the middle school football field, and they anticipate that will be about a 2-day project, so it should be ready for the first middle school game, which is Tuesday, August the 28th.
That'll be great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that will be. It's overdue.
Hey, Phil, just so that no one was misled there by the fiber thing, the other buildings already are
Right.
connected by fiber, so now we,
Now our
whole
entire
campuses.
facility is all fiber, so very reliable.
Great. Thank you. Mr. Collins?
Okay, the first week of school, I usually work here at the kindergarten center. So we made sure everyone got off the bus and got back on the bus, and I think that went very smoothly. I concentrate mainly at getting everyone to eat lunch, because the kindergartners basically hardly know how to carry a tray, let alone select food. Went very well. That first grade, behavior-wise, you couldn't ask for a better class. They just did an excellent job. It's always amazing when I work with the little kids that they catch on so quickly. I think if you expect them to do stuff, they come up to what you expect them to do. Plus, they look at all the other kids and they can do it too, so I don't want to be the only one that can't do it. So it is amazing that those kids choose between 4 or 5 different entrees and get through the line and make it back to class on time. I do that the first week just to help them out because I've done it, for many, many years, but I also enjoy it too, so it's kind of a trade-off. I also worked a little bit with the ESL teacher. That's the English as a Second Language. She's from Columbia. Working a lot with Hispanic parents to get them registered because a lot of the parents can't speak English and it's very hard to get all the paperwork done without them speaking English. And she does an excellent job and is liked, I think, by almost all the principals. She's just really into this and a wonderful person to work with. So I worked with her a little bit because we had some testing and we had to work out. And then Mr. Warner asked me to work with the mentors, the student mentors who volunteer, that's a class, to do an orientation. So I spent 2 days, I think about 6 or 7 sessions working, talking about children and talking about how they learn and what our expectations were. So that was a good mix for the first week of school.
Great. Jim?
I'll give a short report on C9. The front of the old front of the building, if you're familiar with it, the south end is no longer there. It's all been demolished. The kids that ride the buses now enter on the west side where they used to have to walk all the way around. Now they just step off the bus and walk like from here to the front door and they're in the door. Had an update at our last meeting from Jerry Dunn, who is our project coordinator. They're actually ahead of schedule. Hopefully this won't set them back, but doing a lot of new walls on the inside, and they're looking at things to come back on schedule, hopefully a little ahead of time. But the new project, the new program, one of the new programs we started this fall is law enforcement. I believe they said there were 78 kids applied for it. No way we can handle that many kids right now, so that's already created a waiting list. Our building trades down there, we had to make a revision in the building trades. They now build a home no bigger than 2,500 square feet. I don't know if you guys heard or not, the Building Trades Inc. got sued last year because a couple had a 5-bedroom, 4-bath, $400,000 home, and there was no way our kids could complete everything that was in it. And so they were so unhappy they sued them, and that's all been settled, and we're back to square one. But the board said, okay, no more giant homes for these people to make a fortune on. It's just not going to happen. But C9's moving along, and I'll try to keep everybody updated on anything new or different.
Great. Thank you, Janice. We have football game at home this Friday, and the PTA Fun Fest is at 5, just for everybody to know they need to come. Student Community Council meets next Monday, the 27th, and last year when we were meeting, we were looking at the schedule for this year's graduation, and apparently the track championships conflict with our typical graduation day. They are on the 30th and the 31st, and there are several seniors that will be affected and not be able to go to graduation if we have it regularly like we had before. So the council went to several parents and several of the students to see if we could change the graduation to June the 1st, which is on a Sunday, and they want to have graduation at 2 o'clock. The parents and the students that all of us talked to don't have any problems with it, but Mr. Warner wanted me to bring it to you to see if any of you would have any concerns or questions concerning it. If you don't, then they want to go ahead and try and plan for a June 1 graduation this year. Anybody have any problems or concerns? We're planning on having it around 2, so families won't miss any kind of church services or anything like that.
I think if that works well for those involved,
Yeah.
then
Okay.
I think that's only fair, that
Everybody
so everyone
okay?
can be
Okay.
there.
Okay.
My
good.
sound is saying no, it's going to be a day or two later than
So would everyone.
But that's been, so, okay.
Okay, and then I just have one more thing. Mr. Warner, since we have stepped up with our cheerleading squad this year, they are all just kicking butt. They were at camp recently, and 3 freshmen, 6 junior varsity, and all the varsity was nominated for All-American. And the cheerleaders were awarded the Herky Award, which represented the most leadership, teamwork, and school spirit for all the groups at the camp. All the squads received spirit sticks, and varsity received the camp spirit megaphone for the team showing the most spirit during the entire camp. So Mr. Warner wanted all of you to know that they received all of those awards.
Great.
That's all I have.
Wonderful job. Thank you very much. Jen, did you have
One
something?
more thing, I know we've congratulated the football team. I think we also should congratulate Amy Masterson. She's starting on her quest to get in the state finals again and finish very high in cross country.
Not Amy.
Renee, I'm sorry.
I think Amy's
Yeah,
good.
but
Amy's chasing
I
it
guess-
all around.
Yeah.
She probably
She's,
deserves an award too.
Yeah, I think she's already set some meet records and some school records. And, they just started, so good luck to her. I mean, she's amazing. She's amazing.
Great. Then I don't really have anything except to say school year started off great. I have, all 3 of my kids are in high school this year, and my freshman, as usually freshmen do, he's come home and is so excited about the high school, loves it. Everything is an exclamation points, about that. So I hope he retains that over the next 4 years. But the staff and everybody's doing a great job because the kids are just doing great. So it's been a good start to the year. And Dr. Sager?
Well, we did have a smooth opening at all 5 of our schools. The principals were especially complimentary of our custodial maintenance staff this year. Our buildings look better than ever, and that's not without a lot of organization and hard work in the summertime. And in fact, the same thing's true for the principals themselves. When schools start smoothly, that's a result of their pre-planning and hard work. We have a lot of other staff, including many teachers, that come in during the summer before their contract starts to get ready also. We've talked about the football team and athletics in general, and I think it's appropriate to give an early report about our new athletic program focus with our new high school athletic director and changing the role of our middle school athletic director. Things are going pretty well early on, so I think we're headed down the right road and the right track. We just need to, I think, give them a little time to get the bugs worked out, and I'm hoping for good things, hoping to see good things and a higher level of success there. At our last school board meeting, we had a relatively simple question posed by an audience member. It kind of caught me off guard, and I needed to think about it a minute, but if you recall, we had a question about, do we accept applications for positions that aren't currently open? And really, we accept applications for positions that aren't open all the time. We accept the application, put it on file, and then go look at it when we have an opening. So the specific answer to that question is yes, we do accept applications for positions that aren't currently open. But we don't interview for positions that aren't currently open. I think that just needs to be said too. One other thing I should have mentioned on the opening of school, I always look at the preliminary enrollment information, and our enrollment, it's not official yet. The official enrollment comes a little later in September, but it's almost equal to what it was this time last year. About 2,260 kids approximately, which is still down 160 kids from 5 years ago, but for the last 3 years we've been pretty flat, right around that 2,260 number. Our class sizes across the corporation are excellent. If you recall, we did add a staff member to the first grade, and it's a good thing we did. We have a very large first grade with class sizes running between 23 and 24, but they'd have been much higher if we didn't add the teacher. And we also added a staff member at the 5th grade, which even with that additional staff member, we have the highest class sizes at 27. Now 27 is not too large, but they are the highest. So it's a good thing we did that as well. You kind of bet on the come a little bit when you add staff predicting enrollment, and in both of these cases, the students are showing up.
That's all you have?
Yeah.
Great, thank you very much. Any Any other comments or questions?
May I ask another question? It came up after I'd asked my last question. You mentioned the ESL teacher. How much time is spent, is she full-time?
She's full-time.
ESL on the language, she's a full-time?
She's full-time, and then if we, depends on how many kids we have. If we have kind of an over, we have another person that goes part-time with us too. But she's full-time.
She's not a teacher either, she's an instructional assistant, just to make sure.
Yeah, she translates between the parents and the teacher and the kids. She doesn't.
Her focus is language.
Yes, she's from Colombia, speaks Spanish, so, you know, it was her first language, was Spanish. She also works with, we have some kids from India. She'll work with them, and we sometimes have some Oriental kids, but our main focus is Hispanic kids. And she'll take information from school and translate it into Spanish to send home. She does like conference calls with the teacher and the parents, the registration, and then she'll go and work with children during the school day to translate, try to make sure they understand what's going on in class.
Is this the first year you've had someone like that?
No, it's about the fourth, I think.
I think so.
Fourth or fifth.
You know Clem Sayre? You know Jerry? Jerry Sayre?
Yeah,
His wife Clem?
okay.
She worked with our Spanish kids. for a
She's the
while.
part-time person.
Yeah.
She was full-time, but she
Yeah.
retired. And Anna Copenhaver is our ESL person now.
Okay, thank you.
And she's, her home office is 2 doors down. This is the building she starts with, but she goes to all buildings. And then if we need Clem Sayre for, you know, if we have too many kids, then she works with them. We have to test all the new kids and see what level they are. And if they're a 1, 2, or 3 level, which is a state thing, then we work with them. If they're a 4 or 5, then they're usually capable of handling their own. If you have a kindergarten, 1st or 2nd grade child coming, let's say from a Hispanic background, my experience has been within a year, they're speaking pretty fluently. Where you really have problems is middle school and high school. Just like us, if we would try to learn another language, it would be almost impossible for us.
Thank you.
Yes.
She must do a good job because we had her translate our bus rules we give to all the kids into Spanish. So we had 2 piles there. One bus driver didn't look at it herself. She handed out all the Spanish ones to all the kids. The funny thing was half of them come back signed. You know, parents have to sign.
Right.
So they must have understood it.
What does that say for us as parents?
So during the summertime, she translates for IUPUI. She was asked to go full-time at IUPUI, but she likes this better. So,
Good.
talked her out of it.
She has a son in the district, he's one of one.
Yes. Yeah, her boy, she brings him to school and takes him to school, and it works out really well.
Any other questions, comments? I would like to remind the board that we do have an executive session following this, so do not dart out the door. But saying that, would you like to give a motion to
I'm
adjourn?
gonna beat Jim to it today.
Rick, you made a motion. Second, Jim. All right. Me and her.